Kept you waiting, huh?
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or indeed good bloody well evening, and welcome to episode 122 of the UK's #1 gaming podcast. This is the CrossCast, and we are part of the Cross Players, a team of mates dedicated to bringing you all of our educated opinions on the incredible games we play, the consoles we love, and the universe of news surrounding them all. And to get things started on today's CrossCast, I'm going to introduce you to my two beautiful co-hosts, and they are beautiful. Hi, Alex.
Hi.
Are you okay? What are you drinking?
I have my trusty big yellow bottle of water.
Yes, okay, we all recognise that from that famous internet meme. Ethan, what are you drinking?
Hi, I've got some water as well.
You got what? Is that an IKEA classic glass as well?
Yeah, the standard. Yeah, it is an IKEA glass. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
it's fine. It's okay. Practically indestructible, those things, and you can get them in different hues as well.
Yeah,
hues.
Different hues, different colours. We have got a jam-packed show for you all today, but before we begin, if you would like to support us, give this podcast a review on the service you're using. That'll go a long way to helping us get more followers and more people to join our wonderful WhatsApp group, which if you haven't subscribed to, you can go to patreon.com/thecrossplayers and contribute as little as £2 to join that as well. Keep an eye on the Patreon and on our alerts on our social medias over the next couple of weeks, because we have got something special planned for later in the year to hopefully have to push and bring more of you wonderful people to our Patreon. To get things started, Ethan, we had a Pokemon. What was it? A Pokemon Direct? What was the
Pokemon Presents? They call them now, don't they?
Pokemon
Presents. Yeah.
Like, okay. So, do you want to talk us a little bit about it as our resident Pokemon expert, mate?
Certainly. You aptly named it a was it Pokemon Muse?
Pokemon Muse, some Muse, if you will.
Exactly.
Terrible.
I mean, I think that it was basically a 35 minute presentation. Going over the world of Pokemon, and I think the general consensus on it was that it was a bit shite. But
for those that don't know what Pokemon are, can you just explain briefly what?
It's. I think it originated in 1996 or 1995, but basically pocket monsters. So you're this little 10-year-old child, and you run around and catch these little creatures of all different shapes and sizes, and then you fight with them, and you trade them, and it's really good. It's for kids as well.
Yeah, it really is as well. It's meant to be for kids, but we've all grown up with it, and it seems to be rather popular. So hence the Pokemon Presents. But anything jump out at you during that Pokemon Presents of interest?
I think They basically they do this in a lot of the Pokemon Presents now, where they touch on like every single thing going on in Pokemon. So they talked about the new cartoon. I don't know if you saw that, because this was quite mainstream news, but Ash, the perpetual child that's been in the cartoon the whole time, he's like retired now. He finally won the world championships, which I would recommend watching that. I don't really watch. I've not watched the cartoons, but I went and watched the final episode where he won. And it was like a Dragon Ball fight with like Pikachu and Charizard. It was quite cool. So I recommend going and watching that. But yeah, he's fucked off now. So now we've got this new cartoon coming, based on the new games, and it's got like new characters and stuff. So they showed a bit more of that. I think that's already starting in Japan, but they showed like a trailer for the dub for the Western release. So they showed that. There's another cartoon there as well that they're doing, like a web series one, which looks quite interesting if you like watching the cartoons. They showed like Pokemon Heroes, is it, or Pokemon Masters EX, the mobile game. They showed new stuff for that. Bunch of mobile game updates like Cafe Remix and stuff. They showed Pokemon Sleep as well, which I've actually been playing that. I've been sleeping on. So don't sleep on that one, or do sleep on that one. Depending on which way you look at it.
So I've seen some of that kind of like, obviously Nate I think went to one of the presses for it, but what is the whole point of it? So basically you're asleep and there's like a Tamagotchi-ish kind of thing. What's the crack with it?
It's fun. It's quite funny, to be honest with you. I'd recommend trying it, but basically it's like a sleep tracker, but you have a Snorlax in the middle of the screen, and you like feed the Snorlax like curry and stuff, and then basically the Snorlax kind of like grows, and then this obviously Snorlax, being the dozy sod he is, when you go to bed at night, you obviously you sleep, if you should be sleeping, but you sleep, and then you, based on like the quality of your sleep, you'll get like a score and stuff. You know, like if you like your Apple Watch or your Fitbit and stuff, and it gives you like a sleep score based on your heart rate. I'm guessing is what the Fitbit one does. There you go. Yeah, that's what he looks like. That's what he looks like after a lot of curry. For audio listeners, Snorlax. Dan's holding up a nice little Snorlax. That looks particularly comfortable. That little nice little huggable fella. Harsh words.
Wow.
So listen.
It's okay, old Max.
Take the positive from it. At least
Snorlax is cute.
Kit. Yeah. But yeah, it's basically a sleep tracker, and then you have to put your phone next to your bed. So half the time it didn't fucking record because I'm not. Again, you're giving. This is going to be a YouTube episode for sure, because you've given a lot of visual delights in the past minute. Dan's just spilt Coke all over himself. If you
fat as well.
If you're listening to the podcast,
typically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
just waiting in the curry.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's basically a sleep tracker, and then you catch Pokemon and stuff like that. It's quite fun. You can
get like what is it? The Pokemon Go plus or something.
Yeah, Pokemon Go plus, and it's basically like a hockey puck thing, and I think you can use that with Pokemon Go as well. So I mean,
just 2 pluses there, Alex. You dramatic prick.
Yeah, although that is pretty bad naming. So I'd say the jest is warranted, wouldn't you? Plus, it's a pretty shit name.
It's not 4 though, is it?
Yeah, I mean, they could have just called it Sleep Device. So I think that's about a better name. But yeah, I think that tracks your sleep, but it's 50 quid. So, and the thing is as well is this, I feel like this sleep tracking is not that accurate, because if you're out like a light, as Drake would say on sicko mode, then it thinks that you're not doing anything, because it's literally just going off sound. It's quite funny as well, because it plays your you know, when you're looking at your sleep, like, it will record little, you know, those apps what record your sleep, and then you can play back the sound. Yeah. So like you can listen to yourself like at 4:00 in the mornings and audio recording, and it's like, I want to ride the pony, something like that. And you speak to yourself in sleep,
like a light.
Yeah. Or like something like "Mi saca punta lo cuenta," like you hear those stories about people speaking a foreign language in the sleep.
Buteros.
Yeah. But obviously my cat's fucking about in the night, so it thinks my sleep quality shit because my cat's fucking jumping all around the place.
Are you sure it's the cat?
So
it's not you, just like
exactly. So yeah, it is fun. Like, I'd recommend trying it if you like Pokemon. And the main thing that I'm doing is you can actually shiny hunt in it as well. We don't know what the odds are. But for any shiny hunters, you want to catch shiny Pokemon and you sleep, well, now's your opportunity to do it. I don't think they actually announced anything in particular about that in this Presents, but they basically just touched on it because it's only just come out. So yeah, there was that. And then I think the main thing is the DLC got a date. The first DLC got a date, which is September 13th.
Right.
And I tell you what, I've just missed this out as well. They actually announced some new Pokemon as well, which is a big thing if you're a Pokemon fan. There was 2 new. They have these like paradox Pokemon in the new game, and they're basically like weird reimaginings of existing Pokemon. So like one of them's called Screamtail, which is basically just Jigglypuff with a fucking massive long mullet. So they announced two new paradox Pokemon as well, which are both questionable in design. I don't think they've gone down too well online. One of them was Raikou, the one of the legendary dogs from Gold and Silver and Crystal.
Okay.
And it's basically just Raikou with a fucking giraffe neck. So it's yeah. I'm not a massive fan of the designs, but
so that like this seems to be their like the Paradox stuff is their version of like the metaverse or their version, not the metaverse, but their version of like how
I hate that you've just said
yeah,
that.
the multiverse.
I guess
Thank you.
Yeah,
that kind of yeah. It's not Zuck getting Zuck.
Yeah, the Zuck.
But, yeah, it's their version of like the multiverse, I suppose, and mixing things up and playing with dimensional.
That's a good way of looking at it, I guess. Yeah, I think the names of them are just terrible though. Like they don't have actual Pokemon names; they're just called like Roaring Moon or like Fighting, like
Sync.
Yeah, and it's meant to be like the person who's researched them has given them like a silly little name or something like that. But I don't really like the names, but they are cool. It's a cool idea. So there's that, and then there's new Paldean evolutions as well, which Paldea is like the new region. So there's a new evolution of Applin, which is a Pokemon in the shape of an apple, and you can now evolve that into Diplin, which is a candy. It looks like a candy apple, so that's really, really, really sweet. So yeah, and then there's another one. There's another one of what the fuck is the Pokemon? Duraludon, which is like a Pokemon that looks like a skyscraper building. Kind of. I think
do you
that
have any notes? So you're just remembering this off the dome because
this is off the dome. Yeah.
No
I have
wonder
the
you need to
notes,
sleep
but I could quite easily be making this all up anyway, and you'd be lapping it up like thirsty dogs. So.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
Yeah. So yeah, and then if you want something you can do now, there's Pokemon, the trading card game, the Game Boy game, and Pokemon Stadium 2 for N64. They're both on the Nintendo Switch Online now. You need the expansion pass if you want to play Pokemon Stadium 2, but you can play the trading card game if you've just got the normal online
Switch
thing.
online.
So yeah, I've not actually played either of those games. I played the trading card games slightly, but I've never actually fully got into it. So I'm looking forward to playing both of them.
Like, still why they haven't brought out a different version of that, because you can do the trading card game where it's the actual game, can't you? Because you get those digital cards.
Yeah, the trading card game online. Yeah.
But I played it a couple of times and just like it is good, it's really fun, but it's quite overwhelming now in terms of like the rules and stuff. Whereas that trading card game is like the OG version, very very simple. It's still the original 151, I think.
Yeah. Well, so I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends. All right. I have a lot of friends that, and I can count them on two. I need more than two hands. Put it that way.
Really? 11 friends.
Yeah. I don't even know what I was going to say. Yeah, so a lot of them play that Yu-Gi-Oh. I was just thinking about all those friends. Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links is like a really popular mobile game, and then obviously we've got Marvel Snap as well. Like these card games are absolutely bussing on mobile. So
never
heard
like Pokemon.
Yeah,
bussing.
Neither have I. I thought it'd be cool, but it's
great word.
Yeah, they didn't work.
No cap. Bet safe.
Yeah. They need to do a new mobile game like that, really, don't they?
If they actually reinvented the Pokemon mobile game and try to bring it a little bit more into a modern setting, I think that would go down really well, because it's the perfect IP for it. But like the Gwent style of game, Marvel Snap style of game, but Pokemon would be incredible.
Exactly.
Good. Okay. Well, out of 5 Snorlaxes, what would you give the event for you personally?
I'd give it a 3. I mean, it was what I expected. I think people were negative on it, but I was happy with it because we got, at the end of the day, if you get a new Pokemon revealed, that's quite a big deal in my opinion. And also, like, I don't really know what people are expecting because we know we're getting the DLC, so we're not going to be getting a new game this year. We got 2 games last year, so I don't know if people were expecting like some sort of new game announcement. But if you're actually like into all the different Pokemon things like Pokemon Go and all these mobile games and the actual games as well, and it was quite a nice little bountiful harvest of information.
I like it. So moving on quite swiftly and talking about our next news story, looks like Square Enix are struggling specifically because of Final Fantasy 16 sales. Whilst a month ago, and this is over on Forbes.com, Square Enix said that the Final Fantasy 16 sales were extremely strong, quote unquote, after selling 3 million copies of the PS5 exclusive in a week. That momentum appears to have trailed off significantly. As of Square Enix's latest earnings report, whilst net sales increased, operating profit has now dropped 79% from 14.4 billion yen to 3 billion yen. For context, 3 billion yen's worth about, according to this, 16 million pounds. So it's a considerable drop in terms of operating profit. With previously constricted sales of the console due to supply shortages, even if a Final Fantasy's attach rate to PS5 itself is good, they cited slow adoption of the PS5, which isn't great. I think just kind of giving a bit more flavour and context to this. So I read a couple of things online where it basically summarised some of the struggles that Square Enix have had, especially in the stock market. So Square Enix continues, this is of today, of the 10th of the 8th, 2023. Square Enix continues to fall now for 7 straight days in terms of stocks. It's now Square Enix's biggest drop in the last 3 years. And considering they've fired their CEO recently, nobody can recall any of the other big parties actually having some similar performance issues. On here, it is now 78.5% drop year on year, and one person questioning Square Enix's continuous decision to lock games into a single platform rather than building healthy fan bases over time. So I was looking at a couple of the games, obviously, and thinking the likes of like Octopath, Final Fantasy 16. It does feel like they haven't learned from issues that they'd had years and years ago with the Tomb Raider series. I don't know if you remember when they brought out Tomb Raider just on Xbox, and it was a year before it then came out on everything else. And it was similar with that, where it just like, I think Fallout 4 came out at the same time, but basically it just ran them out of the water. But it seems really concerning.
Yeah. No, it absolutely does. And I think you're right. It does feel it feels a bit like in this day and age, particularly we're mid-generation now. This isn't the start of a generation. You're into the mid-generation, but there's not as many of those. If you're going exclusive to this generation, I think you can't restrict yourself if you're a third party to one console. Like, there's just not enough. I think before you probably could, and I was listening to something else, I can't remember what it was, and it was talking about like the top. Was it Capcom have something on their website that shows you like you can see basically the sales of every game that they have and everybody sees, and it just shows that the numbers that games sell now compared to the numbers that they sold in the past is incredible. But if you're then restricting the potential that you can sell, which more and more you're seeing now, then you're not going to meet the sales targets that your investors are expecting, because investors now expect more than they've probably ever expected. Expectations are huge, and you wonder how much this is linked to Phil Spencer coming out on stage at the Final Fantasy Presents or whatever it was last week and saying, right, here comes Final Fantasy 14's come to Xbox Beta this year, coming full next year. We look forward to other Final Fantasy. Maybe they're finally realising they're right, we can't do this anymore. No matter how much Sony throw at us, it's just not viable.
You've got to totally think about that, and I think the part of the problem they've got is, so just to put it into further context, so £76 million is what they made last year, operating profit. They've only made £16 million the last financial year, and a lot of that is down to the fact that Final Fantasy 16 hasn't performed as well as it could. So, fired a CEO, Phil Spencer comes out on stage, feels like a pretty big acknowledgement that the strategy hasn't worked and that they need to pivot and start bringing Xbox back into the fold.
Do you mean the strategy of launching exclusively on PS5?
Yes, and then other games as well. So, like, I think Octopath launched on one or two
PS5
platforms.
and Switch.
Yeah. So it was very limited in terms of certain platforms and wasn't exposed to others. Whereas
7 Remake still only on PlayStation.
Yeah, so obviously that strategy of bringing it out on one platform just doesn't work for Square Enix and the cost that they're putting into their games.
I feel like the expectation from the investors, like you were saying, Alex, it's more than ever before. But then at the same time, like, what the fuck are you expecting? Because realistically, how many units did it sell? 3.3 million.
Is that in its first week? Was that? I think
so. Like
in a week, yeah.
How many PS5s have been sold? I've just
40 million.
Yeah. So like, if you surely the attach rate on that is like nearly 10%. Like
Pretty good.
That
It
sounds really good to me. So
Yeah.
I don't really know what they like. I'd like to know how many they actually expected to sell,
Well, I
because it
don't-
seems like it sold a lot. I also think as well you have to look at the other games that have launched, and not just Final Fantasy. Maybe they've heaped too much onto Final Fantasy because of prior failures. I was saying before, that Forspoken, I don't think
Yeah.
that sold as well as they wanted it to.
No.
How long ago did that come out? Like 8 months ago or something like
If
that.
that, yeah. So I think there's been a litany of just recent errors.
Yeah,
Games that haven't performed.
so I don't think it's as bad. It, like, when I initially read this story, it looked like a damning. It looked like it was sort of Final Fantasy was shouldering some of the blame, but I think that it's partially they've heaped too much expectation onto this, and I think it's performed really well. But potentially some of the other failures have meant that they've needed a fucking home run with this, and it was a home run. But I don't know, one of the fans caught it in the stadium instead of it going fucking flying out of the ground. Do you know what I mean? Like it still seems like it sold really well. And then also with the thing about Final Fantasy coming to Xbox, in like the older games coming to Xbox, you've got to look at the road ahead and think, like, I know it's kind of like a trite thing to say that the like JRPG games aren't as big on like Xbox at this point, because like there's a lot of different JRPG experiences on Xbox at this point, but they're building that audience on Xbox with these older releases. So can they release? Is this like an exclusive game? That's it, or do they have plans to release it?
I would imagine.
Yeah, so if they release it on Xbox, you've got that second release window, and all those fans are getting those other game experiences while they're waiting for it. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom for Final Fantasy. But I did see a lot of marketing for it. I saw like murals on the walls. I saw like there was a live action trailer when I went to cinema. Like they did market the game pretty hard. So maybe that comes into it as well. But yeah,
I don't know if and that's the other route you need to go down here though, because it's not all about sales. It's like how much did they actually spend making it. Because that's going to your development costs here are going to be a huge impact in these numbers too. And is it the fact they just spent too much developing it, and that's where they've gone down? Not so much that sales expectations haven't met it, but the development costs spiraled out of control. Because I mean, you play this game, and it's huge, but maybe not huge in the right ways. Like some of the battles are like so overly engineered and not overly produced, and you can see where they've spent money, but they almost spend too much money in some of those bits because they're a bit too long and they're a bit too much presentation, where they could have cut some of that back and saved a little bit of money. I know that's not the vision and that's not how you should be making games thinking about it that way, but it could have as much to do with it in terms of how much they spent and how much they actually sold.
I think realistically, I'd be curious to know in terms of what Game Pass and Xbox pay for games on its platform, because whatever it is, it must be sizable enough for multiple third parties to do that and bring that game out eventually onto Game Pass. And realistically, it's probably the case that Final Fantasy 16 will be on Game Pass in the next year or so. I think another important point to make, like most of the cost of that game, if it's the right phrase, Alex, correct me, or the other way around, but it's been amortized by the fact it's not been hit by the inflation hikes that we've all seen. It's been produced, developed, packaged up months and months and years ago, pretty much in terms of like going gold and all that kind of stuff. Most of that development will have finished quite a while ago. So it probably hasn't been hit as hard as some of the other games that are now being produced and released, especially towards the back end of this year. I saw something recently about Starfield and the cost of development just going bump because of all the pay rises people have had to make and cost of living crises that you've had across the globe. But even the cost of marketing must have gone up exponentially compared to what it was. The point to make is shareholders don't care, but shareholders don't also know the key workings and strategic decisions from what happens with the CEO and what their direction is, or whether or not they're pissed off with Xbox and cut the nose off to spite the face. Like all they look at is, okay, well, we've got these games coming out. Here's the projections that Square Enix are giving in terms of the cost of what they've put into them, and then fundamentally then what they're hoping to get back from it in terms of unit price and unit sold. That's it. Yep. So I think whilst they agree with you to some extent, I think the problem that shareholders have or will have whenever they're talking in the events and challenging the board of Square Enix. They're probably going, well, can we actually know now what your strategy is going to be for the next 12 months? Because Phil Spencer's come out on stage and seems as if you guys have got a bit of plan here, but you guys just
simultaneously lock in that game onto PS5. Yeah.
How is that going to change? What are you going to do now to pivot and make sure that you can turn this company around? Because we don't really want to go from a dividend of 76 million quid and our portion of that, every year, down to 16 million quid, because as you both said, that's just completely unacceptable. As a shareholder, we want our returns to go up. Otherwise, we'll do what we have done and sell our shares, which is tanking your company, and makes it very, very easy for Microsoft probably to swoop in and buy it at some point, or Sony, depending on whether or not Microsoft want any more heat from a regulator.
Probably a sitting duck at the minute. That's the thing.
If not already in conversations about it.
Yeah.
It's probably one of those things that it's been long rumoured and touted, and there's no smoke without fire, is there?
The expenditure thing you were saying as well, Alex, about the cost of development. I'd be interested to know what other big releases they have like what the irons in the fire they have going forward, because that might play a factor into profit as well. If they have other games in active development, and like you were saying, Dan, the cost of development is just skyrocketed, as has everything else.
Yeah.
So maybe if they've got games in development at the moment, then that plays into it as well. But that'd be interesting. Like, hopefully, no games get like they go, oh shit, what? There's no like. They don't have a kind of reactionary moment of being like, shit, what do we do now? Do we can this game that's early in development because we're losing this money, or what? What do we do?
They've got their
it's about Dragon Quest HD2D remake, isn't there? Is that
I've got the full release schedule on Square Enix's website at the moment for the rest of 2023, and then TBA. So all of these games presumably are in active development, or at least in some variation of it. Infinity Strash, not heard of that one. Which Dragon Quest: The Invention of Dai, Star Ocean: The Second Story R. Infinity Strash Dragon Quest is on the 28th of the 9th. Then on the 2nd of November is Star Ocean. Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince on Switch is due out on the 1st of December. Exclusive. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, PS5 exclusive, is due in next winter, it says. Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail, summer 2024. Dying Light 2, TBA. Final Fantasy 13 series, PC exclusive, or PC re-release, TBA. Final Fantasy 14 online, for some reason, saying on there, Mac, PC, PS3, and PS4. Stormblood, Mac, PC, PS4. Project Hikari, working title, Oculus Rift and Vive, because that's exactly what they need to be doing as VR games. Bubble Bobble 4 Friends, The Baron is Back, is PC and PS4, TBA. Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake, no platforms announced yet, TBA. Dragon Quest Keshi Keshi, which is an Android and iOS game, again, stupid. Dragon Quest 12, still in active development, TBA. Kingdom Hearts 4, TBA. Kingdom Hearts Missing Link, another mobile game, TBA. Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, Android and iOS, TBA. Foam Stars, PS4 and PS5 exclusive.
I think they actually dated that today.
Did
the Ever Crisis one, yeah.
Well, they haven't updated their website yet, pricks. But then they canned the Just Cause mobile game as well. I believe that was one of the things that came out of the press release recently. So difficult times. Not really anything on there. Like 7 Rebirth could go either way. Like, because the 7 remake to me, it got decent reviews, but I actually probably would have scored it a lot lower than that, because the fetch quests in that game were just stupid, and it made me feel almost like maniacal at the end of having to do another like 20 fetch quests to be able to progress the story. I was like, it's ridiculous.
16 was like that as well.
It was, yeah, it totally was. But again, this trope of just developing games that are stupidly big budget, and then don't have anything new about them.
That fetch quest element as well. I heard you talking about it on the podcast when you were talking about Final Fantasy 16 and like the cinematic boss battles versus the mundane like monotony of like these fetch quests, and that kind of hints at like a misuse of budget as well, because if you've got like
great point.
if you've got like an incredible, like I heard about the opening sequence of the game's apparently like really like amazing, but then if you've got these padding elements, then that kind of means you've either not invested enough time into it, or like, do you get what I mean? Like it's not
It's
the
literally
game.
like that,
It sounds like
and
it's like a mountainous game rather than being like a consistent high. It has highs and it has highs and lows. So
It'd be amazing to see the
yeah.
cost of the games, wouldn't it? And actually see, I suppose, almost like a balance sheet of all the things that are spent marketing, development, and then compare it to some of the big budget titles. Because I guarantee you look at some Nintendo games, the budgets will be huge, they'll be massive, but they'll probably be like half, I would guess, of something like Final Fantasy 16. Just because of the graphic fidelity and all the other things that go into it, but because there's so much attention given to the right things and time spent on the right things. With a Nintendo game as a good example, it's just mismanagement.
Surely there must be some data to like they must say to investors like, look, that it's worth doing a PS5 exclusive because like, or PS5. Are they footing the they're giving a nice little chunk of change for that, and then maybe footing the bill of some of the marketing, given that it's very PlayStation centric.
Yeah,
like
definitely will be.
There's got to be, because they've done it so much. They do so many exclusive games that like they have to. I mean, it's clearly might not be working for them, so maybe it's time to change. But like, I would have thought that the idea of launching 16 as a PS5 exclusive and then having it come to Xbox at a later date with the older games on Game Pass, I would have thought that would be a good idea. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's very strange, but really, really horrible story too when you think about it.
It's been an interesting few months because they're not in a great position, and as you say, if people have been looking to pick them up, then it's the prime time to do it as that share price keeps falling.
Yeah, and the current CEO as well, bear in mind, like the last one was the guy that started pushing NFTs into the games, and he was the CEO for 10 years. So, like, if you just haven't got a good person sailing the ship and they've got a very defined view of what they think is successful, and that isn't putting a game on Game Pass, because maybe they value their IP too much, which they shouldn't do, because Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy in general, has been going down the pan for the last couple of releases. So the fact that they're doing that and they're wasting probably the money that they're getting from their from 14 and the online aspects, it's just disappointing. But hopefully the new CEO has righted that wrong, and certainly bringing Big Phil out will help. One news story that I'm curious to now move on to, and I don't know whether or not it's going to be any more positive, but GameRant.com, Red Dead Redemption is finally making a comeback, but there's a huge catch. Rockstar Games confirms that the original Red Dead Redemption is finally making a comeback. However, it's coming to Nintendo Switch and PS4 on August 17th, but it's not a remaster and it doesn't have any new content. The game will not have a native PS5 release or an Xbox version, and there is still no PC version, leaving fans waiting and wanting for years. The re-release will likely not include the original game's online multiplayer feature, which may disappoint fans that enjoyed it. So the news story continues. Rumours have been swirling for quite some time now that Rockstar was preparing to release a Red Dead Redemption remaster, or even a full-blown remake of the 2010 classic. Fucking hell, 2010 it came out. But it seems that those rumours were only partly true. Based on what's been shown so far, the new version of Red Dead Redemption is not really a remaster. It's more of a slightly enhanced port that brings the open-world West into some modern platforms. But what makes some fans really scratch their heads is how this new version of Red Dead is skipping completely over major platforms and is going to retail for a whopping $49.99, despite the game being over a decade old and not bringing any new content to the table. Fans may also be confused about Rockstar's release plans for Red Dead. August 17th is the day that the PS4 and Switch gamers can pick up Red Dead digitally, with a physical release then to follow on October 13th. We'll get to that. That process at the moment fucks me off, that you have to buy, or you can only get digital on certain days early, and then you can get the physical further down the line. I think that's insidious as fuck.
Metroid anyway, Prime was bad for that, wasn't it?
Awful.
It's September.
Awful.
Is it still September, or is that out?
I don't know if it's been pushed back, but there will be no native PS5 release of the game, though it will still be playable on Sony's latest console thanks to backwards compatibility. There will also be no Xbox version of the game, though the original Xbox 360 version, which is pretty much the same fucking game, is still playable on most modern Xbox consoles. Most disappointing of all, Red Dead is still not coming to PC with this re-release. Fans have been asking for a PC version of the game for years, but it seems that they will have to keep waiting on that front. What do you think, Alex?
Well, I've already got it. It even says Rockstar Games presents Red Dead Redemption. Like, it is the same game. It plays on an Xbox 360, it plays on an Xbox One, it plays on an Xbox Series X, and it plays with FPS boost on an Xbox Series X. So, like, that's just bizarre. This is one of the most bizarre decisions and one of the most insidious cash grabs I think I've ever seen.
Well, it's like the Grand Theft Auto remaster, that they brought out recently, the trilogy. Again, just it's not like they're strapped for cash. Clearly, again, very, very similar parallels here to Square Enix. Apart from the fact that the Square Enix seem to be in the doldrums, but they're making a shitload of money on Grand Theft Auto Online, and then they're making terrible decisions with that Legacy's IP. And Red Dead's just the same. They've just released, well, not just, but a couple of years ago, Red Dead Redemption 2. It's a gorgeous game. So much time and attention gone into it. Quite a lot of probably the devs that worked on the original Red Dead. And then they've got the audacity to release a $50 version, which is basically the same game that came out, 13 years ago. Absolutely abhorrent.
I think we were saying about marketing on the Square Enix thing. We talked about that a bit, and I feel like the marketing of this, the way this was framed, could be different. There's a lot of confusion around it as well, because I think something leaked on the website prior to it being announced, and like I for one, I said in the group chat, I was like, I thought it was like The Last of Us Part 1 type remake of the first Red Dead game. So then when I saw this announced, I was like, well, and then you see that splash screen with the PS4 logo and the Switch. I'm like, what the fucking year is it? And then because the argument for it on PS5 is, well, you can just play the PS4 version of PS5 and that's fine. But like, why wouldn't you should just have the PlayStation logo on the splash screen then, not PS4? I was like, what am I looking at?
I completely agree.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just think like,
I feel bad for the developer that's ported it. Like they're getting a bit of. Other
than to get cash, I don't see this as. And I know some of the guys in the WhatsApp are like, I can't wait to play this on the Switch. I'm like, why?
Yeah,
like genuinely, why? Like, why would you want to play 13-year-old game on
let's get into that
Switch?
Then.
Like,
because I think you and I are probably in the same boat and the best people to rant about this. So let's go for it. But the novelty of that is completely worn off on me now. Like now I've got a Steam Deck, and I think I said this in the chat. Like, and I can play pretty much apart from Red Dead, like pretty much every older game is accessible through that, whether it's emulation or whether it's available on the Steam store for buttons, whatever it might be. You can go and play with that Steam Deck if you want to and play those games. To see like Red Dead getting released on the Switch and people getting excited by that, like they're part of the problem. Like, stop being excited by things that have been released for like 13 years and you could have played it if you really fucking wanted to. And also, stop getting excited by something where there's a better version of that game out. Like, it's like getting excited by Breath of the Wild coming out on the PS4. Like, why? Like, if Tears of the Kingdom came out on the PS4, you'd be like, all right, great. But Breath of the Wild, like, no, do not get excited by that. Don't give them your money because they're making it worse.
It's the same with the Arkham trilogy?
Yeah,
so is it the Arkham trilogy that's coming? It's the exact same thing. I'm like, if you really want to play these things, like, get a Steam Deck. And I don't mean it. Bit more, and I've been playing. We've not got to pick up and play yet, but I've been playing my Switch again, and the loading times in the Switch are fucking horrendous, right? Horrendous. Like, so like the next Nintendo must have an SSD. Like, it needs to have an SSD because I can't cope. Like, I genuinely can't cope. So why you'd want
joined
to
us? Yeah. Sorry, Alex, go on mid-flow.
I was like, why you'd want to play this game on the Switch? I've got no bloody clue. Genuinely.
Yeah. So we're still on Red Dead, so we're just talking here about, I've said to me now the novelty of these re-releases on Switch, especially with the Switch tax and like the £50 like label. I'm just completely past it. Like, if it's a Nintendo IP, I can get with that a little bit because I like it. I like the fact that you can buy a physical version of like the Mario games, that came out actually, and I do like the fact that you get Metroid Prime remastered, but that was an actual remaster. What we don't appreciate, or what I certainly don't appreciate, putting words into Alex's mouth, is the fact that people are getting excited to play Red Dead on a Switch when there's a 13-year-old version of that game available on most of the modern consoles. And I likened it
I don't even think the physical version will be on the cartridge anyway, because it'll be the disc for PS4, but or if they even do a physical PS4 release, but for the Switch, the GTA trilogy had that fuck off download text on the front of the box. And I'm guessing this is probably going to be the same anyway. It shouldn't be, because you should be able to get that game easily on on a Switch cartridge. But it's just. I mean, if it was 25 quid, then I wouldn't mind. But 50 quid, it's a hard pill to swallow, isn't it? Really.
The part I find really annoying is, okay, set the scene. It's Christmas, like in 2 weeks' time, and the mum is out doing the shopping, and she's got I don't know, like a 12-year-old or something that she wants to buy a game for. She walks into Mike Ashley's pawn shop and walks to the counter. She gets offered a slushie. She says, "No, you know what? I'm okay. I don't want any Lego. It's fine." And then goes to the counter and says, "I want to get the new Switch game for my son." And they go, "Well, this is game Red Dead Redemption. It's 45 quid, whatever it might be." She doesn't know that the game's not on the cart. She doesn't have a clue about the fact that there's a Red Dead Redemption 2 that came out 3-4 years. She knows nothing of this, and she gets that upsold to her, so that she has to then take that game back to the poor kid that's going to open that on Christmas Day. One, she's a bad parent. She doesn't get kids, but that's her parenting. Mavis needs to just
18
improve.
rating as well.
18 rating, but I say 3, so it's fine. She's like, you know what? She's got TikTok. It's fine. I've seen this browsing history. But like, you get my point. It just feels silly. It just feels like we're stuck in a little bit of a time loop at the moment, where we're just constantly churning out games now towards the end of this life cycle with the Switch specifically. And then people like Rockstar are just taking full advantage of it. And instead of like all of us going, all right, well, early adopters, let's not bother buying this game, and let's kind of make a bit of a point on it online, which I think has been a bit of a foray, and people have kicked off, and people are still getting excited by it. And I'm just like, just disappoints me a little bit. But it is what it is.
It is what it is, yeah.
It is what it is. I hate that phrase. Okay, so next we're going to talk about a little fun news story that popped onto the notes. Sony patents smell-o-vision style video game aroma system. GameRant.com. Sony has filed a patent for a new video game feature that could simulate in-game odors. Previous attempts to incorporate smell into gaming has been niche, drawing comparisons to scratch and sniff cards and fairground cinema experiments. This new patent describes a system that would use detachable cartridges to emit fragrances synchronized with certain lights and sounds in a video game, though technical challenges remain. And apparently this patent is thanks to the DualSense controller's haptic feedback and the console's 3D audio support. It's to add into the immersion of games. These features allow players to feel different in-game sensations. They don't, they're just fucking better, when it comes to making vibrations. And 3D audio is great, but it's fucking 3D audio. It's nothing new. It's been around for a long time in terms of surround sound. They're just doing that now digitally and virtually. Now Sony is looking to bring the ever-elusive scent of smell to its homegrown gaming experiences with a newly filed patent. This patent describes a system that could provide players with a fragrance during certain in-game moments with a detachable accessory.
They just saw the special edition Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Xbox controllers and says, we need a bit of this, didn't he? That's it.
That's exactly
quite literally
what
says
thinking,
that.
yeah.
Quite literally says that, and it mentioned that in the article.
I really want one of those so bad. I looked at every like giveaway and just entered every single giveaway, but
maybe
they look so good.
I mean, look, realistically, this is probably never going to see the light of day.
No.
I mean, if it does, I will eat my controller. Whatever.
It sounds more like the sort of thing Nintendo would do, isn't it? Not thingy. I think the thing with something like this is, for me, is it's like, you've got to, because there's been stuff like this before. I can't remember what it's called, but there was like a scent thing for the computer in like the late 90s, like early 2000s.
Different tries of this.
Yeah, and like, you have to have a vial of about 50 different bottles of phrases, like one for shit, one for like candy floss, one for, you know what I mean? And you got to put your vial in every time. I think people think about the idea of smell-o-vision and then they're just watching the telly and it's just coming through, but you have to have all those fragrances in hand, so it's just not going to work. Because imagine if you had your fucking decanter full of like the vomit fragrance, because you've been playing a lot of like a vomit game or something, and then you just accidentally knock it over and it just smashes all over your room, and your whole room just smells like the artificial smell of shit or something.
We're saying you don't have children.
You come through and they've just downed a fucking 500 milliliter bottle of pizza fragrance or something.
And the
Honestly,
room
one of
stinks of sick because they've vomited all over the floor and then they've shat all over somebody else. It's like, you live in television, it's fine.
Yeah, Jesse was like running around the house like Link with the fucking fragrant candle the other day, just throwing it, and then it was smashing everywhere. So like, to know what that'd be like with a vial of shit, I don't know.
Yes.
Look, I mean, look, a patent's one thing. Whether or not they see the light of day, I really doubt it. You know, if they can't get 3D televisions to work effectively and commercially, I doubt they'll be able to get smell-o-vision to work. But
Who knows?
I mean, hypothetically, what we're talking, like the smell of snake sweat as he goes through a swamp in Snake Eater, you know, maybe something like that. You know, maybe like the apples in Tears of the Kingdom, because they do look quite tasty. So a nice little smell of apple there. What are we thinking? What's our go-to in terms of smell in a game? What would we want to smell?
Popcorn.
Well, I feel like it's
Smell
that's
popcorn.
nice. The cinema experience. What about Subway? You know, Subway smash that smell outside.
Calm down,
You
Jared.
walk past the Subway and you can just smell the the freshly baked bread.
Yeah,
I don't wanna-
Right, you
There
said.
used to be an Italian restaurant that I walk past every night on the way back from work, and that smelled absolutely divine. Mama, I always used to say "Mamma mia" when I walked past.
Mamma mia.
I didn't actually do that.
I like it.
Dated.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, shall we move on to pick up and play?
Let's.
Let's. Okay, Alex, come on. What have you picked up, mate?
A duster.
What?
A duster.
A duster for what, Alex?
For my Switch.
Oh my god.
Like, genuinely. Like, my Switch has been switched on for the first time since March. So I picked up Pikmin 4.
Pikmin
on Ben's recommendation, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Surprise, surprise. I've probably played about 12 hours of it since Friday. I mean, my Switch is like, it doesn't know what's going on. Like, it's...
When somebody loved me, everything wasn't beautiful.
So yes, I have been reintroduced to my Switch, and as I probably gave away earlier, I have some frustrations with the Switch. I definitely have some frustrations with it, particularly the loading times.
It is a potato now. Like it needs a bit of a boost, doesn't it? Bless it.
So that's really been it. I don't have too much to say about Pikmin as Pikmin. If people know about Pikmin, it genuinely is a little strategy game where you've got little Pikmin and you need to tell them to do things and fight things and gather things and solve wee puzzles and how to get things. So it's fun. Quite enjoying it.
You played a Pikmin game before?
No, this is my first, so I'm probably not doing the best at it because I'm still kind of working out what to do. But I like my wee dog. Wee Ochi's quite cool. And then I'm having a nice time with it. And
What's your favourite Pikmin type?
I've only got 4 just now. I think 5. I like the glow ones when you're doing those kind of nighttime.
Like
they're quite
tower
cool.
defense thing.
Yeah.
Like a racially motivated question. I was like, hold on, I don't know this game well enough to answer that.
And the blue ones are useful. I like the blue ones.
Blue ones, okay. No idea what any of these things are.
I always find it frustrating when you want to just walk into the water with the blue ones, and then the other ones start trying to follow you, and then you're like, no, fucking stay there because you're gonna drown.
Yes.
All right.
Get back on the dog.
Do that thing where you, that's good because you can, they hop on the dog and the dog
they
paddles.
do. Yeah. And the only other thing I picked up is some new Lego. So I have some nice new Lego on my wall. It's not there yet. You can see it just behind me. The frame's constructed.
Okay.
So it's a Spider-Man 3D. It's like a 3D canvas of like a Spider-Man picture. It's quite cool.
Nice. Okay.
I hadn't seen that until you posted that in the chat, and
Same,
it looks really, really cool. I guess I'm betting that'll be a fun one to build as well.
Yeah, it's a wee bit different because you need to build the actual frame, and then it's like almost like you build all the individual squares to put it together. It's quite cool.
So just for anyone listening, if you want to join that WhatsApp, it's patreon.com/thecrossplayers, £2, and then you get entry into the WhatsApp. We've got a bit of a weird thing going at the moment where we're taking pictures of our feet whenever we get a package and we say, what's in the box? And it's people's feet. Alex refused
I
to do
hate
it.
that.
I'm
I don't
not
particularly
taking
like it.
pictures of my feet.
I don't
Absolutely not.
particularly like it, but it's clearly a couple of people in there with a kink that want us to do it, so we're just entertaining them. But they pay us money, so if you want to see feet, maybe that'll get more subs. I don't know. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Pikmin 4 on Lego. Thank you, Alex. Picked up and played. I like
I know.
it. Short and
We've
sweet.
done well this week.
Ethan. What have you picked up, mate?
I haven't got any recent pickups, but I did get Pikmin 4 as well. I got it on release, so I guess that was quite a bit of a while ago now, wasn't it?
It's a while ago now. But...
It's only a few weeks.
I'll go with that then. I'm enjoying it as well. I've played Pikmin 3. I've played Hey Pikmin. The less said about that, the better. Shite.
What was that mobile game?
It was the 3DS one, but it had no 3D feature at all. It was just like a side-scrolling one, but yeah, it's good, isn't it? I'm enjoying it. I've not actually played that much of it. I'm looking to get back into it. Might play some of that tomorrow. I'm off work tomorrow, so might play some of that. And then I went to a Mario Kart little competition last night in NQ64, the arcade. You'll probably have one near you. There's quite a lot of them now, isn't there? All around the UK.
It's one in Glasgow now.
Oh shit!
Yeah, Dan was supposed to be coming, but he had other more important things to deal with than children, which questionable excuse, but yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it was on Double Dash, but it ended up being a time trial thing. So I did Double Dash is like the weirdest one for it to be on as well, because it's the one that kind of controls the most differently of any of the Mario Karts. So if you're just kind of like someone who's vaguely familiar with Mario Kart, it feels alien because the way that the drifting is, it just feels different. It took me a while to get used to it, to be honest, because after being so used to Mario Kart 8, but I ended up coming third, which it was a bit pathetic, to be honest. The guy that was
out of 5 or
no, it was more than 5 people.
Six.
The guy that won it easily did beat me, so I can't really say anything about that. But he was the guy that won last time. He's kind of like the gamer, the wizard. If you've ever seen that
he's
film,
the one. He is that guy.
the chosen one. Yeah, I'm him. He said loudly as he dropped the GameCube controller. I did technically come second, which I'm not going to say much. She took into consideration the lady that was running it. She took into consideration your best individual lap time out of the 3 laps that you did, rather than your overall time trial time. So I came second on the time trial time, but on the 3 individual laps, I guess the guy who came third did better than me. But if I'd have known that, I would have used both mushrooms in one lap.
Yeah, of course you would have.
Yeah, so I'm not bitter about it, as you can tell, but I did get this T-shirt as well. So.
Hey,
nice.
That's a good T-shirt.
It's like an Obey thing. It's got
I like it
on the back as well. It's very cool.
Ripped off a style. We should rip that off.
Yeah,
good. Okay. So I'm going to talk about a game that I think is probably in contention for Game of the Year. So I'm just going to quickly bring up some.
I'm looking forward to hearing about this.
I'm excited to talk about it because usually I butcher talking about games that I really enjoy, but I don't think I'm going to do that with this one because it's quite easy to get over the line. So review roundup for Baldur's Gate 3 at the moment. So we got covered 4.5 stars. If you love turn-based games, this is the one for you. If you love fantasy, it's for you. If you're even remotely curious about either of those genres, Baldur's Gate 3 is for you. Hell, even if you aren't interested in those things, do yourself a favour and pick it up. It'll be worth it just to see a masterpiece in action. My footnote for that: this is the Elden Ring of games in terms of like that kind of action turn-based genre, where it really doesn't matter whether you're into those areas or those genres. Play this game because it is just good enough for anyone. ZTGD said the freedom that players will have in Baldur's Gate 3 is something that doesn't come along very often. He said and remarked that I adore this world and everything the team has created here. He concludes by saying, I can't help but compare it to a great session of Dungeons and Dragons with your friends. Can't comment on that. It's something that, when done correctly, will stay with you long after you've finished the play session. Tech Radar Gaming, if it turns out that Baldur's Gate 3's final twist is that it ends as a kart racer, with you driving through the streets of the titular city itself like a modern-day Carmageddon, then I'm sorry I've steered you wrong. Otherwise, for most players, this is one of the best RPGs ever made, and I stand by the score it's received. So at the moment, sat on 97 on Metacritic, which is one above Tears of the Kingdom. This is an absolute masterpiece. I played maybe 5 to 6 hours of it, and I would never score any other game based on 5 to 6 hours other than something like The Witcher 3. And that was people don't know my history with The Witcher 3. That was the game that got me back into gaming years and years ago, and I picked that up as part of the PS4. I originally wanted Bloodborne, bought that because it just come out, I heard really good reviews about it, hated it, traded it in, and The Witcher 3 was there, so I was like, I'll pick that up, that looks okay. Completely fell in love with The Witcher 3, but the thing that hits you immediately in that is the writing and the craft of the writing in it. Baldur's Gate 3, the quality just oozes, not just out of the storyline itself, because Larian Games, the way that they've crafted that is beautiful and very, very interesting. But the quality of the writing and the dialogue options that you can choose, the game genuinely twists to what you select. And it's something very reminiscent of my experience with like Dragon Age and probably other people's of Mass Effect, where the selections that you make genuinely feel like they have a weight and purpose. Then add in the element of it being turn-based, and all I can compare it, and sorry to anyone that loves Three Houses, but this to me is like what Three Houses should have been as a game, where it's got all the right elements of being able to tap up your companions and like have sex time and do all that kind of stuff, and it's got the compatibility and the way that you can build your characters. It's so vast, and there's so many different options to explore. I went back to that character creation screen 4 or 5 times. I haven't done that since SmackDown 2 came out, where I've been like, I just want to make sure I nail this before I jump into a game.
That was just on the penis, wasn't it?
Literally was just on the penis at one point. Honestly, I was like, "What? Hold on. Do I want him to be that arrogant that he's walking around with an absolute slung between his neck, or do I want that person, or do I want to play as a female character because maybe I want to take that element out of the game? Like, it's just so many vast options into it. Now, not my personal experience, but was listening to Jesse Gomez talk about it on the IGN UK podcast, and there's like a dark passenger, from Dexter. They called it something different in this, but there's a character option where you can basically pick that you've got a voice inside your head that just wants to take the most brutal option in every single character conversation, and it ended up like he's just killing all of the people that you should be making party members with, and it's like not ruining his playthrough, but it's just making it completely different. But the game's supportive of that as well. The differences and the fact that then you underlay it all with the D&D kind of DNA of like dice rolls and the complexity behind it. I'm completely enamored with that part too. Similar to I never loved card-based games until I played Gwent, a couple of years ago, or until I played something like Hearthstone, and it completely changed that genre for me. That was like, right, I'm into card games now. Like it's not just genre defining, but it feels like generation defining. It's the first game I've generally felt like that, aside from Elden Ring and maybe Breath of the Wild, since The Witcher 3. And I would put it quite comfortably into my top 3. Where it lands, I've no idea yet, because like I said, I'm 5 hours in. But even at this very, very low point, it's the excitement to go and play it. And I hate sitting here and playing games other than Rocket League. Like, I genuinely despise like watching this screen in this little room in a sweaty little conservatory and playing a game. My PC is screeching its little head off playing Baldur's Gate 3 on the best settings, and I'm fucking adoring being in here, sweating my bollocks off, and then carrying it on with the Steam Deck and taking it on my commute with me.
Have you got it installed on Steam Deck?
Yes.
So you bought it on Steam?
Yes.
So you got that cloud
yes.
save. So how's it fare on Steam Deck?
Other than Alex criticised loading times before for the Switch, but I'd say loading times are the only negative, but apart from that, fine.
Looks good. That's what I'm planning on doing. I'm planning on getting it on the Steam Deck, but I think it was just the file size that terrified me, to be honest. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah. Especially my shit internet. Probably be Baldur's Gate 4 will be out by the time I've downloaded it.
I have like literally dropped most of the games off this, but it's interesting you mentioned next Baldur's Gate, but the fact that this is, I think, 20 years departed from Baldur's Gate 2, which was Obsidian. And Obsidian's track record with creating games and crafting games that have got like a level of detail to them. I think it's quite telling. What was their last game? The space one.
Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds
was
one
like
of them too. Yeah.
like a shit New Vegas. And then this, Larian have come along and gone, you know what, we'll be inspired by your level of detail, but we're going to amp that up by 10. It just, I can't sing its praises enough, and all I want for people to do is create a WhatsApp group so I can talk about this game more and more with people that are playing it. So
And it's
I'd
co-op
encourage
as
everyone
well,
to get
isn't
it.
it?
You can play co-op in it as well. Yeah. So it is great. The actual I'd say the only thing that I'm a little bit negative on, like the battle parts, I can be a little bit hit and miss on them. Like, it's really fun, but that kind of turn-based thing, I'm not as keen on it as it used to be. I prefer it like a JRPG wrapper, like Persona 5, but still, it's a really small niggle, and I think anybody that loves like tactical-based elements and games will absolutely adore this. But yeah, it's fantastic.
Tell us about your character. What's your character?
I've called him
Who's
Zidane.
your sort of...
I've gone for so there's sub-genres and I might have to bring it up, but it's that you can pick almost like subclasses as well. So I'm a high elf, I'm a rogue. What else have I got? So I've put quite a lot of...
And now tell us about your character in Baldur's Gate 3.
Tiny penis. You know what? I'm going to get it up. I'm going to talk about it because it's important.
It's going to get a tiny penis.
I've been...
Join the WhatsApp if you want to see it.
Cause I don't really know anything about any of the character things, but I've been listening to on my way to work. I've got the audiobook for the Two Towers.
Yeah.
And I was listening to the Ent bit, and they were talking about Ents, and I was like, these Ents are actually fucking sick. You know, I've never really thought about Ents before
Ents
that much. And I was thinking in Baldur's Gate 3, I want to kind of be like a little like man with the trees, like wood elf type situation. So that's something I'll be able to explore, do you reckon?
Oh god, yeah, 100%. I don't think you can become an Ent as such, but you can definitely. I mean, the choices that you get in this, but Cyberpunk for me is probably the one character creation screen I'm thinking of the most. And other than having to drag that stupid little circle around to make changes on the screen, I actually thought it was really clever and adept, and I thought it was quite progressive, the things that you could do in this. Like, I'm all for like being inclusive in character creation. This is more than that. This is like quite literally, you could be as inclusive if you want to, but then also at the same point you can almost like bend every single genre and every single class that you pick in as well. Similar to like Elden Ring, where you put in quite a lot in there, but then there's still almost like I'm trying to think of the way to phrase it. It's almost like there's like a predisposition to every character that if you do pick it, you're going to be limited in the way that you play it, if that makes sense. So if you pick like a warrior class, you can put points into other areas, but really you're going to have to progress that game as a warrior. This feels like completely different. I can boot it up now.
And this game's £50 or £60?
50, but you can get it for I think 40. I got it 46. I got a couple of quid off it.
So it's this or Red Dead Redemption on Switch, and it's going to be...
It's going to be a close call, isn't it?
Yeah, it really puts that into perspective, though, doesn't it? When like you've got a game from like literally years ago, and I'm sure there's a lot of work been put into the port, but you've got a real seemingly AAA like modern current gen experience, next gen experience, I guess.
It's just exciting. Like, it's an exciting experience. Yeah. It's similar. Like I haven't mentioned this because I'll probably mention it on the VR pod that I'll get dragged onto at some point. But I picked up the VR2, which is an incredible piece of kit, and I absolutely love it. And I was playing Mastonoid for the first time, and Soph and I were just passing the headset to each other, going like, "This feels like when Beat Saber and we first played that," and like why is this not fucking working?
Does Soph play a lot of games?
No, not at all.
So was it more of a novelty thing?
Yeah,
or justifying the purchase?
Partly, but then it was almost like this experience is something I know she's going to appreciate. And to me, it's not necessarily just a novelty, but it's something different. It gave me energy to actually play it, and I was thinking about it when I was in work, and I wanted to play more of it. Like, when you get a game like that, ultimately that's all we want from a game, isn't it? You spend 50 quid, you want that feeling. You want that feeling from when you were younger. I'm racing home after school to go and complete the third disc of Final Fantasy IX so I can get on to the final boss and figure all of it out, because it's that feeling that, well, personally I'm chasing. I'm getting that with... I got it with Tears of the Kingdom, still have it. I've not finished Tears of the Kingdom yet. I've got it with Baldur's Gate. I've got it with my VR headset, and I'm just enthused at the moment for games. But Baldur's Gate was just like the cherry on the cake for me, because it was just this experience I didn't expect. Listened to a couple of reviews, and as soon as I started seeing the actual physical reviews coming in, I was like, I have to get this game, because it feels like it's transcended the genre that it's in, or the two genres that it's kind of playing with, and it absolutely has. Like everything from the writing quality to the music to the graphic fidelity is brilliant on a PC, but I don't know what it'll be like on consoles when it comes out. But there's nothing about this game that doesn't ooze quality. So yeah, I'm excited for people to play it.
Maybe
Desperate as well.
Yeah. Maybe this is the game that my PC finally plays.
Yeah, your
this
wonderful PC. Yeah,
that still hasn't played a game.
Yeah, well, it's
Is
more
it
than
beefy?
equipped.
You got a beefy PC, yeah.
It's got a beefy
It's not
PC.
bad. Yeah.
Look at that,
It's
playing
alright.
it down. You've got like
It's
a
alright.
3070 or something.
It's 3070, yeah.
Yeah, you'll
Okay,
play this
yeah.
quite nicely.
So-
But I toned down the settings on mine and moved it from ultra to high because my PC was screaming its head off.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I don't really need it to be as good looking as it is. And I barely even noticed, to be brutally honest, which, again, you know what I'm like. I'll be like fuming normally if that was any other game. I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to go and buy a 3090 Ti or whatever and come back and rock with it. But I was just like, you know what, I don't even care. I don't care that on Steam Deck it looks slightly worse. I don't care that it's X, Y, and Z. It's just entirely about the experience that I'm playing. So please play this game. Please let me
You've
talk
sold
about
me.
it more people.
You've sold
Yeah.
me.
And it makes the game of the year debate really interesting as well, doesn't it? Because it feels like
Incredible.
the fact that we're in a year where Tears of the Kingdom is as game of the year is brought into question is absolutely crazy, a crazy thought. And I think ultimately, less people are going to play this than Tears of the Kingdom. So I feel like an overall game of the year category, it may be less likely to win that, but it also makes me think like Starfield's coming out, RPG of the year, like Starfield's got fucking heavy competition now. I know it's like different, it's fantasy and sci-fi, but it's going to be hard not to compare the depth.
It just puts the pressure on Starfield even more. Like,
yeah.
But which, and I think we're going to come on to this, but like, Starfield's already under a lot of pressure to deliver, and I think it will. But there's that seed of doubt that it might not, and I think now this is just another bit of the it must. In it, and I mean, I think to the reception this has got, and I think for a studio to be out there to make a game like this and this amount of depth and this amount of care, and I know it's been in early access for a year, and I know whatever like that comes with that, and is probably more polished in some games because of that. But I think just to see the reception to this game, and it's just as you say, Dan, there's just so much love for it. Like, I don't think it's just because of the breadth of experience that you can have, and because of the absolute bizarreness of the experience you can have in some situations as well. It's just like, I feel like I just need to try this, and this is not a game that would ever probably like be one that I'm like, no, it's just not a game for me. But then there's been so many things recently that have not been for me, and as you say, like, I have that total, like, it's my VR at the minute that makes me want to play games, and I have that, when can I get that headset back on? But now I'm like, I need to try this, because I can't be spending all that time in a headset. I need to get back in the real world.
That's what I'm enjoying about the VR podcast. I mean, not to give you any more praise, but or to give that podcast any more praise, because it gets enough fucking praise, doesn't it? But that's what I'm enjoying about listening to the VR podcast, because you can tell that you're all like genuinely enjoying these new experiences, and like it's the fun of like trying different games and enjoying it, and like that definitely comes through, because I've got no intention of buying a PSVR 2, but I still listen to it. It's really enjoyable. But I'm excited to see what you think, Dan, about that PSVR. But you said you were going to start your own new podcast, the
PSVR 2,
so
Crossplay VR 2.
Yeah. We'll have to see with that one.
Just to piss them all off.
And the Xbox version of this game as well, Baldur's Gate 3. It's something to do with they can't get it running on Xbox Series S.
You can't get the split screen co-op running in the Series S.
Yeah, and they're not allowed to release it on one.
Yeah.
Which do you think that's going to be an issue going forward? Because that's starting to rear its ugly head, isn't it? The little engine that couldn't in the Series S.
Yeah, it probably will, but I don't know. So probably not one to get into for now.
The final point on Baldur's Gate 3 as well is just props against Larian. So the last games that they released, Divinity Original Sin, Divinity Original Sin 2, Baldur's Gate 3, they are bringing out bangers after bangers after bangers and purposefully just drip feeding these absolute stellar games where they're refining their genre better and better and better over time. Please, someone go and give them a Warhammer game. Please, someone go and give them an IP.
Sounds good.
And just completely reinvent an IP like they have done with Baldur's Gate 3. Go and give them something to work on alongside the next Divinity. Presumably that's where they're going to go next. But
well, you look at the Middle Earth games that are coming out, like Golem was shite. Give them fucking Middle Earth.
That closed the studio.
It fucking did as well, yeah. I know. Yeah. My God.
They were, we're not making games anymore in a bit.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah, fair enough.
Golem's done us.
We tried.
He's fucking done us. They deserved it. But yeah, like, please play Baldur's Gate 3. I can't articulate as well as half the other. Go and listen to the IGN UK podcast. I think the last one that they spoke about, they articulated it brilliantly as to why this game is a must play. All I would say from my own personal experience, I've not played a game that I've been, even from an Elden Ring perspective, because I love that game, all the way back to The Witcher 3. I think this even trumps The Witcher 3 in terms of the quality of it and the way it gets you so engrossed immediately. Yeah, it's totally worth it. Definitely.
I don't think I ever thought I'd hear you say that.
No, I don't think I've ever considered saying that about any other game. And you know how I've got a tattoo of Breath of the Wild on my leg, for fuck's sake. That's how much I love that game, but it's not far off beating.
You can get your character tattooed over the top.
Potentially
get
puts it down on there.
The sex scene tattooed on you or something.
I might just do that. I've only
just
had one sex scene so far.
Penis, like right down his back.
Might just do. Well, I mean, that has been rumored. From.
Or you could get a gate, or a Baldur's Gate.
Could do that. Don't know where I put it. I'm sure you've got ideas. So we're gonna whiz through our topic. We're gonna whiz through our gate of the week. No, we're not. Our topic of the week. So the remaining releases for 2023. We touched on this a couple of weeks back, where we kind of said what we're excited for, and we had to kind of give one or two items. But there was quite a nice little list over on techradar.com that I wanted to kind of run through with you guys. So we'll get right into the one that Alex alluded to. So Starfield, September 6th. There is a lot of pressure on this game now, I think, to perform, and I still think it will. Although I'm not going to chastise it if it, for me, is like a Destiny. It's going to take maybe 3 to 6 months to get it perfect. I think the size and scope of that game, I personally will have. I will personally be happy if that gets released and it isn't a 10 out of 10, but over time becomes one. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm going into this with the same expectations I had. I tempered my expectations for Cyberpunk, and I really enjoyed Cyberpunk for what it was. I know I like these sorts of games, so I know I'm going to enjoy it. It's just, obviously, I'm not expecting it to be this blow your socks off, like next big leap, one small step for man, one giant leap for Bethesda. But obviously, a lot of people are expecting it to be that. So we'll see. We'll see if it lives up to the hype. But I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it either way.
Yeah, so the next game we've got, notably after that, is Assassin's Creed Mirage. I mean, I'm liking the fact that, the aesthetic of it, and it feels like return to the Assassin's Creed games that I personally enjoyed a lot more. However,
I'll play this. Because
I'll play it.
I've loved the last 3 Assassin's Creed games. Like, they've just really, really enjoyed... Like from Origins on, is that 4, 3? I don't know. So, like, I'm really looking forward to this, and for that being that smaller experience as well, I think that's a big tick for it being a smaller game.
So that's interesting. I think
it goes back. It reminds me of that Sonic meme. I want shorter games with worse graphics, and I'm not joking. I said the graphics thing doesn't apply, but yeah, the shorter game experience is a refreshing one. Especially, I mean, we just talked about Baldur's Gate. I'm sure you could spend hundreds and hundreds of hours in that game. So it's nice to have these like shorter game experiences, isn't it? You can actually finish for once in your life.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, a return to kind of like classic Assassin's Creed, but I was just a bit bored of Valhalla, and it just didn't do anything new for me.
It was too long.
yeah, quality, it was gorgeous. Like, the game itself was stunning, and the story was really encapsulating, but just not enough to drive me through how long that game was. But let's be positive over it. One that I really, I don't know why, and I think I need to go and play Miles Morales to kind of get myself a bit more hyped for. But I've got zero hype for Marvel's Spider-Man 2.
I don't either, and I pre-ordered it, and I know I love it when I play it, but I'm not sitting here going, "Oh my god, I can't wait for this to come out." I don't know why.
I'm the same as well.
It feels like a Marvel
I
film.
platinumed the first Spider-Man, but I have no and I like Spider-Man, but I haven't even got a fucking PS5 though, so I can't even play it. I was planning on robbing my brother's one to play it, but yeah, I'm the same as you. I'm sure it'll be good, but so many good games at the moment. I'm just kind of like not. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm just looking at these games, going, is it going to deliver an experience that I've had in the last couple of games that I've played? And I just don't think it will. It doesn't look like it's going to do anything different, unless, being drastically surprised by some of the trailers that it shows, and it hasn't shown us new mechanics or something.
I don't think it will. I'd be shocked if it
No.
does.
And it's fine, because it'll sell bucket loads and kids will love this game, and it's similar to like the Arkham series, where it didn't really have to change too much every time, and I don't really mind that, but still just not really excited at all for that game. October 20th, Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Could be absolutely a 10 out of 10, could be a solid 8 out of 10. I think it's going to going to be interesting to see where that lies. I don't know what you think at the moment.
It's definitely a day one for me. It's the first 2D Mario, like proper 2D Mario game since New Super Mario Brothers U. I think, apart from if you don't count Mario Maker 2. Yeah, I think what they're doing with it reminds me of if you played Crash Bandicoot 4 and you can do the inverted versions of the levels, and they have like weird and wonderful like visual elements or like different styles to it. It reminds me that it feels like they're doing something like that. So they're doing something different, and it's always good to play a little Mario side scroll. It's been too long since we've had one, so I'm looking forward to that, definitely.
I'm looking forward to playing it with the boy. I think he will like this.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking forward to more than anything about it. I think he will love this.
Yeah, I do love those Mario experiences. I've not had an exclusive version of a game like that in ages, because I just haven't owned Nintendo consoles for a while, other than the Switch. So I'm quite excited to play that day one. Modern Warfare 3, November 10th.
They just dropped a new trailer today that Pusha T shared, and they used it was like someone getting released from prison. I haven't played the game, so I'm guessing it's one of the characters.
Okay.
From Modern Warfare, yeah. But they played the Pusha T song, "Just So You Remember Who You're Dealing With," and he was coming out with it was a sick trailer. I recommend watching the trailer.
I'll give that a go.
Yeah.
I just, what, I do like the Call of Duty games when I play them. it's just a Call of Duty game, isn't it? Sadly. Okay, so then the games that we're getting in the remainder of August. So we've got 30XX on Switch and PC. Don't know a lot of that. Atlas Fallen is out on August 10th. Moving Out 2, August 15th. Vampire Survivors is on Switch on August 17th. Really excited by that. Although I've got a Steam Deck, so I don't know why I am. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, August 18th. Is that another kind of horror game?
Isometric horror multiplayer thing, yeah. So in Game Pass.
NFL 24, August 18th. Immortals of Avium, August 22nd. Blasphemous 2, Marky is very excited about that. August 24th. Armored Core 6. Bandai Namco, ironically, their share prices have gone absolute skyrocketed, because that is coming out on everything: PC, PS5, Series X, NES, PS4, Xbox. You can get it on your fucking fridge. That's coming out on everything. You can get a mech on your fridge. Sea of Stars, Alex, August 29th. That's one of your picks, isn't it, mate?
It is indeed.
That's coming out on everything as well. Goodbye Volcano High. We've liked the look of that, haven't we?
Yeah.
Sure, we spoke about that.
It's been on a few state plays and stuff.
Yeah, August 29th. Under the Waves, August 29th as well. And then the full release of Baldur's Gate 3 is on August 31st.
I think that's moved just into September now.
Is that September?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so September, Baldur's Gate 3 full release. Room Factory 3 special is on September 5th, Switch and PC. Starfield, September 6th, Xbox Series X and S.
Less than a month away.
September 1st for early access as well.
Not long. Fae Farm, September 8th. Super Bomberman R2, September 13th. The Crew Motorfest, September 14th. Mortal Kombat 1. That looks like a good game.
Mortal Kombat 1 less than a month away as well.
Yeah.
Fucking
I
hell.
know.
Did you see the clips of not EGX, Evo?
No.
It looks really good.
Do you see the character pass where it's got the guy from The Boys in?
Oh yeah, Homelander.
Homelander.
Yeah, that's fucking sick. Yeah, that looks so
and
cool.
the guy from Invincible as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
J.K. Simmons' character from Invincible.
That new
cool.
series has dropped as well, hasn't it? The new Invincible series.
Oh really? I haven't seen it. Is it good?
Mate, watch that first season.
I'll
Absolutely
watch
amazing.
it. Amazon Prime, isn't it?
The first episode, watch it, text me after it.
I'll watch
And you'll
it.
be like, your jaw will hit the fucking floor towards the end of that. I loved it. Lies of P, September 19th. That's PS5, X, Series X, S, and PC. Witchfire Early Access, September 20th. I've heard a few things about that. I need to look into it a little bit more now that I'm a PC gamer, guys. Party Animals, September 20th. Payday 3, September 21st. Mineko's Night Market on the 26th on Switch. That looks cool. Is it Mineko or Mineko?
Don't know.
My Time at Sandrock, September 26th on PC. And then the Phantom Liberty expansion, Cyberpunk 2077, is September 26th.
Oh, yeah.
That looks sick.
I almost forgot about that.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
Getting Idris on it.
Yeah.
Bit of Luther. October 23, Disgaea 7, Vows of the Virtuous. I actually liked Disgaea 6, I think it was. That came out really early on the Switch. Can't remember, but I remember playing quite a bit of that with Pete. Silent Hope, October 3rd on Switch. Detective Pikachu Returns, allegedly, October 6th on Switch.
That was something I completely forgot to say anything about before, by the way. That was also shown.
Was that shown? Okay.
Yeah, that was shown at the Pokemon Presents.
Forza Motorsport, October 10th.
Oh.
Oi. Assassin's Creed Mirage, October 12th. Alan Wake 2, October 17th. Fucking October stacked. Endless Dungeon, October 19th. Super Mario Brothers Wonder, October 20th. Marvel Spider-Man 2, October 20th. Just Dance 2024, October 24th. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1, October 24th. City Skylines 2, another banger, October 24th. Alone in the Dark, October 25th. Bloody hell, the year is stacked. November 23, Star Ocean, the second story R on the 2nd. WarioWare Move It, November 3rd. Jumanji Wild Adventures, November 3rd. Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name, November 9th. The day before, November 10th. Modern Warfare 3, November 10th. Super Mario RPG, November 17th. Persona 5 Tactica, November 17th. Biomutant on Switch, November 23rd. What the fuck? How was that slipped through? I didn't know that was coming out on Switch. Fucking hell.
It shouldn't bother.
And then the only two games that are announced at the moment for December 23, Dragon Quest Monsters Dark Prince, December 1st. And
that'd be a nice little Christmas cracker, that.
It could be, yeah. Another Christmas cracker, Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora.
Oh, shit.
December 7th, coming out.
I'd quite like to play that.
Hold on, coming out on the PS5, Series X, Series S, PC, and...
Luna.
Fucking hell. To be fair, there's loads of TBC this year. I'm not going to go through it all, but you've got the
There's
Final Fantasy
loads
16,
still to fit in.
Batman Arkham Trilogy is still rumoured. Scarlet and Violet, the DLC. I don't know if that got a date.
September 13th
So
for
that's
the
out in
first
September.
DLC, yeah.
Among Us VR 2023. That'll be fucking funny.
Oh, that'll be hilarious. You got to do a video on that.
We've got EA Sports FC coming as well, the new FIFA. Oh wait, you can't call that. There's loads on there. Homeworld 3, that's still TBC for this year.
Metal Gear Solid Master Collection is £50 as well.
Yeah.
So what do we think? We thinking that's more justified in the price?
Is there a remaster?
It has got a few little bells and whistles, hasn't it, as well?
Yeah, it's the whole that whole preservation thing, like they did with what's the Turtles one, and you've got all the
Cowabunga collection.
Yeah, I think it's a bit more got all that kind of stuff in it.
And we have got another Middle Earth game, the Lord of the Rings Return to Moria.
The dwarf shit. I'm getting this. You know?
The dwarf.
It looks
alright. You go back and it looks good. It looks good. Do you know what? I'm not giving up faith. I'm not giving up hope on the on Lord of the Rings games. I'd play Gollum if it wasn't still like when Gollum goes to a tenner. I'm getting it.
Oh god, yeah. That's going to be
a
fiver at some point. The developer is Free Range Games. What is their story? Let's have a quick look. What games have they released? They've released the Callisto Protocol. They did Oddworld, Soulstorm, 2021. They did Rube Goldberg Workshop, 2023. Full developer for that. So they've worked on other games, and they've worked on quite a few other things, which is quite interesting. Okay, interesting. See how that comes out, but hopefully some redemption for Lord of the Rings fans this year. But I mean, things that are on there, like obviously the kind of top ones that we mentioned before, you Spider-Man, Starfield, Assassin's Creed, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, Modern Warfare 3. Is there anything else that particularly jumps out? This is a very strong year, is the one thing that I would say, alongside the other games that have been released.
I mean, you've got Forza for me, because I love Forza. Like, Crew Motorfest I've actually kind of want to try as well. I know I kind of slagged it off for being like a Forza Horizon rip-off, but I still think there's something there to enjoy about it. I think Vampire Survivors is going to be huge on Switch. Huge.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, and then Mortal Kombat 1, I don't know, I've enjoyed what I played of Street Fighter, and Mortal Kombat looks really cool. So I'm a bit like, there's just too many games. Phantom Liberty, like Super Mario, City Skylines as well. Like, that's going on Game Pass. The Man Who Raised His Name, the like a Dragon one Mikiryu coming back, like the action game, like that looks really cool. There's so many fucking games. Like, I mean, I know many people say like this could be one of the best games we've had since like 2013 or something. Like, could this be one of the best years we've just ever had? Because it's non-stop. We still get.
Honestly, it is. It definitely is. Like 100% it is.
We've got Gamescom in 2 weeks. God knows what we're going to get out of that. So. Yeah.
We're due another direct at some point. You guarantee there's going to be a shadow drop within that. That's probably something substantial. We're going to start to see everything getting dripped for next year, and we know that Xbox have got probably 5 to 6 of their developers working on games that haven't been announced yet.
Mm-hmm.
Sony's the same.
Perfect Dark, next year, I reckon.
Might be. No. Yeah, it might be the year for your Metroid.
No, I reckon.
Yeah, I think it's the year of Metroid, mate. I think you get more of that. Just as a note as well, Vampire Survivors is only £3.59. And after the podcast last week and talking about it, and I think all of us have gushed over that game.
Yeah,
£3.59 for that kind of experience. Believe me, it looks like shit, but it's so
well worth it. Well worth it.
100%, especially on the Switch. Ethan, I'm gonna curb the quiz, mate, because we've been chatting for an hour and a half. Is that okay with you?
I'll save it for a rainy day.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's fine.
Do you want one question? Should we give you one question?
One question would be wonderful.
Well, one of them was, you gotta guess: is this a Pokemon or a drug? Right.
Meth.
I stole this from Alex, who did the Switch Player podcast years ago. This was his idea. These are my own questions.
You've been on the Pokemon.
I got access to your Pokemon Sleep recordings, and that's the new thing. Yeah. Right, you ready?
Yeah,
go for it.
Tigersil.
Drug.
Still at the end.
It is a drug.
Yeah,
it's a drug.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
I had a one last quiz as well, fuck's sake.
I would have won it.
Yeah,
I would have won it.
I'll put the questions in the group chat maybe, and we can all do it.
That's a good idea. Group chat is patreon.com/thecrossplayers. £2. Get in the fucking WhatsApp group, please, and go and answer these questions.
Pokemon or drugs?
Pokemon or drugs. That is the type of high quality banter that you get, as well as a load of feet as well. Thank you as ever for listening to all of our inane ramblings and feet references this week. Again, like I mentioned, I'm not going to plug the Patreon again, but our social links are really easy to remember. Just look for the Crossplayers on pretty much every platform. Or Alex, we've got our VR. What do they need to look for our VR?
Crossbutton VR on every platform.
Fucking simple. It's simple. Yeah. You put that in, bush, bosh, bosh. You find your podcast, you listen to it, you have a laugh, you buy more games. Like, what more do you need? Like, it's just absolutely incredible. What are you guys talking about, or what did you speak about last week, and what have you got planned for this week? Can we have a sneak preview?
I mean, this week the hot topic's a little bit of that PSVR 2 has no games. That certainly seems to be the narrative again. So we're probably covering a little bit of that, or maybe even a little look at I can't remember what we're actually looking at. But last week we talked about
enraged.
we talked about the Room VR, and we are running a little not competition. We got a little next person who has a PSVR 2 who signs up for Patreon gets a copy of the Room VR. So if that's not a £25 game, you can give us £2. You get a copy of the Room VR. There you go.
So quite literally, if you're listening to this and you haven't signed up yet, go on. If you can only see 15 patrons, sign up for £2 and you get a £25 game for free. And then
sounds like a deal for you.
Well, stay with us, but what
you or Lewis?
Maybe I've already got
you or Lewis should sign up.
I mean, the boys have hooked me up this time, so.
Oh, nice.
We've been hooked up this time. We've got the game.
Dan and Lewis appearance on the pod.
Honestly, sorry, I was going to say. Go on, I've got a delay. Go on.
I think we lost him again.
Oh, we lost him again. He looks quite funny. He's back. Oh, he's gone fuzzy. He looks
I'll just be quiet
like
now.
a 60-year-old man now because the internet's gone really weird. Have we still got you? You still there, Ethan? Talk to me, Ethan. Talk to me. Okay.
Can you hear me?
No, okay. Yeah, you're scaring me now. It's getting quite. It's like The Ring. I don't know if he's going to come out the screen at some point. Might be fucking hell. Speaking of which, all of our wonderful patrons, of which Ethan is one, Ethan Hunt, Nate Ellingsworth, Carl Hughes, Sean Hughes, Jason Frost, Sarah Perbrick, Rebecca Rudrenoff, Luke Cooper, Kevin Scully, Mark Hammond, Rune Storm, Phil Marshall, Alina DeSotos, Eamon McCauley, and Phil Henshaw. Thank you very much for supporting us. You are all wonderful people. Even if we don't know about the sins that you commit in your own homes, we think you're wonderful. Ethan, it's been a pleasure, mate. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. If you can hear me, I had a really good time. Always good to speak.
You certainly can. I can hear you. Just about. Thank you for that. He had a wonderful time. It's okay.
He did.
Looks very happy. Looks happy. He's Alex. That was fun, mate.
It was lovely. Nice little threesome.
You got your Pokemon name right as well. So there you go. You can.
I know my drugs.
You do. Okay. On that note, bye everyone. Have a wonderful time.